Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I will show you the entire process of totally changing my cage. I've been wanting to film this video since a long time but never had the time. And since our current situations, being in quarantine and having nothing to do, I thought it would be a perfect opportunity for me to enlarge my cage and do some major changes. I am really happy with the outcome and happy to be sharing the process with you guys. I also just wanted to thank you guys so much for nearly 8,000 subscribers. I never thought that we would ever come this far. So this is my cage before I changed anything. I also thought that I would benefit my guinea pigs with a bigger cage, as this is the minimum requirement for 3 guinea pigs. The bed on which the guinea pig cage was sitting on also didn't provide enough storage for me. Before the changes, my cage was a 2x5 CNC cage with a 1x2 loft. And this is my cage after all the changes. I am so glad that I finally decided to get the time to create my dream cage. I had totally deconstructed the bed on which my cage used to stand on and bought 2 new tables. And here's the footage of the change. First of all, I took away the compartments which were under the cage. The things I didn't use anymore for my cage or were just broken, I put them into one of the compartments which would be thrown away. Without scratching any walls, I tried to carefully bring down all the compartments into the living room. Now it is time to construct the temporary cage in which my guinea pigs would stay in for 3 to 4 days. The cage I built was definitely too small for them, but they only stayed there for a couple of days. Next up, I fully cleaned the cage, meaning I took away all the hideys and fleeces. If you guys want to see a full video of how I fully clean my cage, it will be linked down below. I carefully took apart the loft. For this, I cut off the zip ties which were connecting the grids. This was quite hard as they were zipped really hard. Then I took off the connectors and the grids. Since some people wanted to see how I build my loft, you can kind of see now. Now on to deconstructing the actual cage. For this, I also took off the zip ties and the connectors and then the grids. Since I've had my cage for over 2 years, it definitely was a bit dirty and needed some cleaning. I just used a pet safe spray to clean the cage and some toilet paper. If you don't have a pet safe spray to clean your cage, then you can also use a half vinegar and half water solution, which is also very effective. After I placed my coroplast or Corex into another room and cleaned the wood platform. You can't even imagine how heavy this wood platform was. Under the wood platform, there was also a blanket, which I took away and cleaned. To make the cage higher, I also used a mattress under it, so I needed to take that away too. Like you can see, the mattress was really dirty, so we had to clean it afterwards. The hardest part was definitely taking apart the bed, as the pieces were all really long and I needed to find a way to bring everything downstairs. I first started to rip apart the wood dowels, and then I realized that I couldn't do this by myself, so I asked my helper. He was so great and managed to take apart the entire bed. After this, my mom and I drove to a place to dump all your garbage and old things. Keep in mind that this bed was almost 20 years old, so we couldn't do anything with it and it was already really broken, so we threw it away. My floor at this point was really dirty, so I had to quickly vacuum clean everything. Throughout this video, I vacuum clean my floor a lot as I always manage to make more mess. This is how everything looked like, so I'd taken away the bed and my cage. Now I needed to construct the two tables. I bought my tables off IKEA and I will link the tables down below. The first table is 150 centimeters times 75 centimeters, and the second table is 125 centimeters times 75 centimeters. The tables basically came with this metal plank and some holes, so I needed to place in some screws using a screwdriver. To add the feet of the table, you basically just had to twist them onto this metal plank. Now I just flipped the table and placed it where I wanted it to be. However, when I opened the second package where my second table was, I realized that the people from IKEA didn't deliver the feet of the table, so I had to wait 2 days for a response of IKEA saying that I had to wait another 3 weeks. So my mom and I decided we could go to local garden center and buy the feet ourselves, since we couldn't have the guinea pigs in the cage for another 3 weeks. We basically did the same for the second table like we did on the first. Now I just had to flip the table and place it next to the other table. Like you can see, the tables fit perfectly. After I took away all the tape which was on the coroplast, meanwhile, I also decided I wanted to add a blanket under the cage so that it would look nicer under the table. I measured the length from the coroplast to the wall so that I could see how much I had to cut off my other coroplast. Then I measured and cut the right amount of coroplast, which would be added onto it. For this, I just made sure that both of the sides of coroplast there was 15 centimeters left to fold it. Before placing the coroplast, I thought it would be a good idea to clean the sides as they were really dirty. And then I placed the new coroplast which would be added onto. I started taping the corners of the coroplast and then the place where the two coroplasts met. I also taped the bottom of the coroplast for more support. At this point, I was nearly done making the actual cage, and I just needed to add the grids. A week before, I had bought a set of grids off Amazon, which will also be linked down below. I think that for the price they were really good because the set included zip ties and connectors and the grids. I started connecting 2 grids and zip tying them, but then I realized it was quite difficult doing this with the coroplast, so I took it away. For all the grids, I connected them using connectors and then zip tied the top and bottom for more support. After I'd done one side, I placed back the coroplast. Like you can see, I couldn't fully use another grid, so I had to overlap them, which wasn't really a big deal to me as it wasn't that visible. You also want to make sure that the ends of the zip ties, so the sharp edges, are facing outwards of the cage so that the guinea pigs can't reach them. Then I just continued adding the grids and connecting them. Overall, this probably took me an hour as I made some mistakes on the way. Now I was nearly finished and really happy about how everything looked like. Again, I decided to vacuum clean the floor, and then I placed some things under the tables like my vacuum cleaner and the hay bin, which I later decided to move again. On the left side of the cage, I also added the IKEA storage cubes, which fitted perfectly. In the boxes, I placed the herbs and the bedding. And on the top, I placed the pea flakes and the food bowls. Under the table on the left side, I also added the hidey houses, which was really convenient for me as I never really had a spot to fit this all in. Then I set up the cage for my guinea pigs. I first added some puppy pads and then the fleece. Also, I uploaded a YouTube video on how to make this fleece tunnel, so please check that out. Now I was done setting up the cage and finally could place some of my guinea pigs. Here's their reaction to their new cage. I'm so happy how everything turned out, and I can't believe how big the cage is. I also wanted to say that there will be a part 2 to this video because I'm still going to make it a bit bigger on the left side of the cage. I'm going to make a little kitchen area on the Calyx storage cubes. I couldn't incorporate this in the video because the coroplast will probably arrive in like a month. In the part 2, I will also add more storage boxes under the tables, and so stay tuned for that video. Like you can see, my guinea pigs love their new cage and even popcorned. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and see you guys in my next week's video. Bye!